Everyone, welcome to Ask the Expert. And today, an interview and looking for a job is something that I think never going to stop. You can have markets who change, tendencies who change, but what is never going to change is looking for a job, pass the interview, and close the deal. And you know what? In this subject is no BS. Oops, I say it, but it's somebody who said it before. We're going to talk to the coach, the expert, and how to nail the best job interview, the best research, the best search, and what to do, and most important, what not to do. Jeff Altman, the coach, welcome to Ask the Expert.
Why, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it today.
Jeff, why you are an expert?
Well, I approach the job search coaching profession as a former recruiter. I worked in search for more than 40 years, filled more than 1,200 full-time positions plus consulting assignments. I host the #1 podcast on Apple Podcasts on job search called No BS Job Search Advice Radio, hence why we got the reference to No BS before. I also have a top 10 YouTube channel on job search that you can reach at jobsearchtv.com. I've done a lot in the search business, and I approach it from the standpoint of how to help people find work and to do it more effectively than they might learning through trial and error.
Well, we met some time ago. We are both part of the Forbes Forum Council, and I never know how to say it, my pardon. And you interviewed with me for your segment, and we have so much fun. And actually, one of the workshops, then more keynote speaking than I give, is about how to use soft skills and human behavior hackers to when you have the job interview. But I always says, I don't teach you how to look for a job. I don't teach you how to sell. I teach you once you have it, become the best you can. But in this case, you have all the niche and twistles that we can do. Jeff, coach, what do you want to start with? Because I have news for you. You are nailed to this segment for a long time.
So I thought we would talk today about launching the interview in a way that advantages people in their search. Because most interviews start off with someone applying for a job or being referred for a job. They see a job description that's about 80% accurate. And I say that because most job descriptions come about when someone's given notice, a hiring manager calls to HR and says, "Hey, Susan, you got that job description we used to hire Jeff? He just gave notice. Could you pull that up and try and get it out to a couple of people and let's get some activity going?" And the problem is no one's updating it. No one's doing anything to bring it into greater accuracy than the original job description from a year ago, 2 years ago. I've had people do 5, 6 years ago. So my belief is when you start an interview, I want you to hear about the job. So whether it's a phone interview, a video interview, or an in-person interview, the first thing I'm going to want you to say is, "Hey, thanks so much for reaching out to me. You know, I recall the position description," or if you were referred by a recruiter, you might just simply say, "I was referred by Jeff and he told me a little bit about the role, but I want to get your take on it. Could you tell me about the job as you see it and what I can do to help?" Now, this allows them to tell you about the role as it's currently being thought of, because even if the job description is perfect, most of the time there's some changes in their thinking. There's some changes in what they're looking for, where they emphasize one thing, de-emphasize something else. And you're never going to know it because it's not like they're sending you revised job descriptions, right? So I always want to make sure you ask that question at the beginning of the interview, because my belief is I always want you to talk about what you've done that matters to them, not just talk about what you've done, which are obviously two different things. So that's the best way to launch it. Now, if you're in an in-person interview, I always remind people there's one little extra nuance there, and that is sit facing the greatest number of entry points into the room where someone could come out and greet you, so you can see them approaching, because you have looked at their LinkedIn profile, right? You do see what they look like. Maybe it's not the most up-to-date photo, but it's going to give you some impression about what they look like, so that you can see them coming out to ask for you. You're not going to be so engrossed in your phone that you're going to miss that. And thus, as soon as you see them, I want you to size them up as a person and deal with them as you presuppose them to be. Are they aggressive or not? Are they smart or not? What are they like as a person? And my reminder for folks is if you are meeting someone socially, 95 times out of 100, your instincts about them are right. But unfortunately, because it's a career, it's important, it involves getting a job, you paralyze those qualities that advantage you in that way in the interview. And since hiring managers, interviewers really make a decision within 2 minutes as to whether or not to pay attention to the rest, you've got to dive in there assertively and present yourself effectively. So just trust your judgment. After all, if you were at a casino and you knew you were going to win 95 times out of 100, would you worry about the other 5%? Of course not. Of course not. So my belief is I always want you to be out there, out front, collecting information so that you're able to give them what it is they want to know about you without you having to figure it out or without them having to ask you lots of questions to get it.
So you mentioned two things that I usually tell people when I give the workshop or the keynote speaking is not to do. Be on the phone. First of all, what do you think with people being on the phone when are on the job interview? If you're not expecting an update about the job, or they're not going to call you on the waiting room with the cell phone, what is your perception, and what do you think the HR people or the recruiter thinks about you when you are in the waiting room with the phone?
My belief is we have a dance here to do. And the dance is really about mental acuity going into the meeting. If you're going to get fuzzy, if you're going to kind of fade mentally, you got to do something to keep yourself active. But again, you have to be aware of your surroundings so you can put it away quickly. You don't wear buds. You don't tune out the environment. You're reading something. You know, years past, I remember seeing people who would sit in the reception area. Remember the days of newspapers, by the way?
Yeah, I do. I'm old enough, like you are, to remember the newspapers and the phone with the coins.
Oh my goodness, you really are old.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it, Coach.
And I remember rotary phones as well. So I'll just simply say the whole trick is knowing what's best for you. For you, if you think you're going to zone out and not be crisp out of the gate, unless you have something to occupy yourself, but be aware of your surroundings. So you see someone who's coming out to greet people, the phone goes down immediately so they don't really detect it, and you're able to move quickly into the interview.
I did a presentation in HR conference, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. And one of the HR, I was talking about how to approach, and one of the HR says, I hate when people is reading a newspaper, then I do not agree. And when they're reading a book, I want to know what kind of book it is so I can determine if I'm going to like the person or not. So simple things like reading a novel or reading a biography, if the person who is going to approach to you do not agree even with the newspaper you're reading or the book that you're reading, they can do a preconception. So I cannot imagine all the pressure and things that you need to be aware when you go into a job interview. Me, almost hitting 50, if I need to go a job interview, I think I need a couple of volumes to go for, because I don't know if I'm extremely self-aware and everybody is the same way, but it's tremendous. Clothing, hair, nails, your resume, your phone, what you're reading, how you're crossing your legs. Whoa, it's a lot.
There's millions of details that go into it. It's why my YouTube channel has over 7,000 videos on it, and I haven't really finished anything. So I'll just simply say one of the things with books is it suggests to people right away that you're an introvert. That may be okay. However, if that's not really what you are, phone is a better device. So everything you do and don't do is a signal to the interviewer, and they pick up on these very quickly, as you know from having spoken to people.
Coach, I love it. I love it. And I like that you say it as you mean it, no filters, because we have a world who go to such a fast pace that we don't have time to sugarcoat it, because maybe it's some people looking for a job, some people looking for a career. And when you're looking for a career and you fall in love with that job even before it started, mess it up with a simple thing that you don't have the right information, I think is a sin. And something you're not is a sinner. So Coach, thank you for being here, and I'm looking forward to have you back.
Thank you so much. Great to be on.